Hello, my lovely friends. It's Emma here from Just a Girl Who Loves Elvis. Thank you for coming to sit with me today. I know this episode feels different, and that's because it is different. Today isn't about learning something new. It isn't about timelines or stories, or even explanations. Today is about remembrance. So before we begin, I want us to do something together. Wherever you are, if you can, make yourself comfortable. Maybe light a candle, maybe dim the lights, maybe wrap up in a blanket. And if you're out and about, that's okay too. Just take a breath with me. Let's slow everything down. Because today we're not rushing anywhere. Today we're honouring Lisa Marie. Not the public figure, not the headline, not the assumptions, but the woman, the daughter, the mother, the soul. This episode is being shared on a very tender day. And I want it to feel like a quiet room, not a loud space. So we're going to speak softly. We're going to remember gently. And we're going to hold her story with care. There's no urgency here, no agenda, just presence. I think sometimes the world doesn't give us permission to pause with people after they're gone. It expects us to move on quickly, to summarise them, to reduce them to a few sentences. But some lives deserve to be sat with. And I think Lisa Marie's is one of them. And today, I just want to sit with her memory. Not to analyse, not to fix, not to explain, just to remember. I want to tell you something honestly. I almost didn't make this episode. Not because I didn't want to, but because I wanted to get it right. And I kept asking myself, what does right even mean when we're talking about someone's life? It doesn't mean perfect. It doesn't mean complete. And it certainly doesn't mean polished. It means sincere. And sincerity takes courage. This episode isn't here to teach you about Lisa Marie. It's here to hold space for her. Because I think sometimes the most loving thing we can do for someone is not explain them, but witness them. So today, I'm not here as a narrator. I'm here as a listener. I'm here as someone who wants to honour her, not define her. And if you've ever felt misunderstood, mislabelled, or quietly carrying more than people realise, then I think you'll understand why this episode matters. Lisa Marie lived a life that people thought they understood. But knowing about someone is not the same as knowing them. And I think she deserved to be known more gently. There are some things we're not going to do in this episode. We're not going to sensationalise her life. We're not going to dissect her pain. We're not going to turn her story into something consumable. We're not going to flatten her into a headline. And we're not going to pretend she was one thing. Because she wasn't. She was layered, contradictory, strong and sensitive, private and expressive, guarded and deeply loving. She was human. And humans don't fit into neat boxes. So today, we're not here to solve Lisa Marie. We're here to remember her. And I think that's a far more respectful thing to do. There's a kind of strength that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with raised voices or bold declarations. It doesn't demand to be admired. It doesn't make a show of itself. It just keeps going. I think Lisa Marie carried that kind of strength. Not the type that makes headlines, but the type that survives. The type that wakes up on days when it would be easier not to. The type that loves, even after loss. The type that keeps trying, even when trying feels exhausting. People often mistake quiet strength for coldness. They see someone who doesn't overshare, and they call them distance. They see someone who protects their heart, and they call them guarded. But I don't see those things when I think about Lisa Marie. I see a woman who learned early that not everyone deserves access to your inner world. I see someone who had to grow up quickly, who had to make sense of a grief at an age when most people were still playing, who had to understand the permanence of loss long before she should have. And yet, she still loved. That to me is strength. Because when you've been hurt, loving again isn't weakness. It's courage. I imagine there are days when she woke up and carried the weight of her name before she even opened her eyes. Not just Lisa, but Lisa Marie Presley. A name that came with expectations she never asked for. And I think that kind of weight can shape a person in ways most of us will never truly understand. So when people judged her, when they simplified her, when they misunderstood her, I wish they could have seen this side. The side that kept going, the side that kept loving, the side that kept showing up, even when it was hard. Love is often spoken about as if it's light. And yes, sometimes it is. But sometimes love is heavy. Sometimes love is responsibility. Sometimes love is memory. Sometimes love is longing. And I think Lisa Marie carried love in its heavier forms. She loved her father, not as a myth, not as a monument, but as her dad. And that kind of love never really leaves you. It changes shape, yes, but it doesn't disappear. She loved her children fiercely. You could see that in the way she spoke about them. Not for the world, but from the heart. Motherhood wasn't a headline for her. It was grounding. It was where she poured herself. And I think that tells us a lot. Because when you've grown up with the world watching, you often crave something real. Something solid. Something that matters. Love can be heavy, but it can also be the thing that keeps you standing. I imagine there are nights where Lisa Marie felt everything at once. Gratitude, grief, pride, longing. And I think she carried those things quietly. Not because she didn't feel them, but because she felt them deeply. There are many ways to remember someone. Some are loud, some are dramatic, some are filled with opinions. But I think the most meaningful way to remember someone is gently. To remember the small things, the human things, the soft things. Not just what they did, but how they were. How they loved, how they felt, how they existed in the world. Lisa Marie was not a chapter in someone else's story. She was her own. And I think that chapter deserves to be read slowly. Not skimmed, not summarised, not judged. Just held. When we remember someone gently, We don't demand meaning from their pain. We don't turn their life into a lesson. We simply say, you mattered. And I think that is one of the kindest things we can offer. And now I want to speak directly. Not as a historian, not as a commentator, but as a human being. Lisa, you are more than the world ever allowed you to be. You are more than expectations, more than opinions, more than the weight of a famous name. You are a daughter who loved deeply, a mother who cared fiercely, a woman who tried. And trying matters. I hope you are at peace now. I hope you are free from the noise, from the misunderstandings, from the pressure. I hope you are somewhere gentle, somewhere soft, somewhere where you can finally just be. Thank you, my lovely friends, for sitting with me today. Thank you for choosing gentleness in a world that often rushes. This episode wasn't meant to answer anything. It was meant to hold something. And I hope, in some small way, it held you too. If this episode brought you comfort, or made you feel less alone, or simply gave you a quiet place to rest, then it has done what it is meant to do. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and keep a little Elvis and Lisa magic in your hearts.